Big day. Alatena finally getting.
welcome to the Boise State Esports Arena as we get ready to watch an exciting matchup for the conclusion of the Power Esports Conference in its final week. This week we've already got to see an amazing matchup of the Rocket League team facing off against their opponents, the University of Nebraska, and ending up taking home a win. And now today we will be able to see the Boise State University Valorant team go up against University of Nebraska once again to see if we can keep what has already been an undefeated season for our team continued in that for the glory of getting all of our wins throughout this week and throughout this season. My name is Audrey Norris with Jacob to call all the action as we get to see what the hopes and exciting matchups we might see throughout the maps and what characters we might get to see play and just in general what the Boise State team might show off as their kind of last hurrah for this season.
Yeah, it feels really surreal that the PEC season is already coming to a close, but we've already had so many great matchups between top tier schools, and the Valorant team has definitely been given a run for their money in a variety of matchups. The question that you touched on, though, is will they be able to make this an absolutely perfect season, have a clean slate, which not even the Rocket League team will be able to say that was the case for the PEC season. They had an upset loss against Michigan State, so it's kind of now a unique opportunity for Valorant and Valorant exclusively.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see as well, as considering at this point the Boise State esports team has only dropped one map in all of the matches that we've faced. Even last week when we were going up against one of our most challenging opponents, we did end up having many issues with the map rotation, and I believe we only lost one map the week before. So overall, it has been an incredible season for our team as we're going to go in and check out what the map setup will be for this week. Looks like we're going to be seeing Ascent, Sunset, and Haven, with Boise starting on defense.
This is definitely two stages that Boise State has played ad infinitum, Ascent being the classic Valorant stage that everyone kind of knows, and then Sunset being one of their more favorite stages in the last few years.
Yeah, I think if you don't see Sunset or Haven during a Power Esports Conference match, I would be incredibly shocked. We've seen it so much. I mean, it's a favorite preference of all the teams that we've been going up against and just throughout our matchups, and it's a Boise State favorite as well. We have had a lot of success in all of these matchups. As we take a quick look at our team roster throughout this season, our incredible team has been working hard to face off against all our opponents, and now though we do have our preferences and roles, we'll be able to see plenty of swap-ups between characters as we jump from map to map.
And some of the players you're going to want to watch out for is Skies, who has been the consistent fragger for Boise State, getting an average of 20 kills per game, consistently at the top of the charts. I mean, his KD ratio is 5-2, which means every time he's going down, he's trading at least more than 5 of the enemy opponents. So that's really unreal when you think about it, of how consistently Skies is able to win these one-on-one showdowns.
Yeah, you want to be careful, though, not just Skies, but Ray Rihanna as well. I have seen constant matchups where we have been going up against the team. They think they have the upper hand, and then suddenly, out of nowhere, Ray Rihanna has flanked them or been lurking around and taken out plenty of opponents. And just like that strategy, there are plenty of strategies in Valorant known as the keys to the game that can help take your gaming to the next level. In Valorant, that would be to chat your strats every round, stay off the copium, take out your one, and check your angles, please.
It's all brought to you by Boise State Esports. You can go to boisestate.com/esports for more information of how you can attend events, what major events are coming up, and of course for tryout information as well. So we get into the picks and bans for this Ascent match, and kind of a bit interesting because everything on Ascent has been set in stone for so long. What Nebraska's going with is what you see as the more typical Ascent combo, having the KO as the initiator, then you got the Omen and the Jet, of course, to frag. But Boise State changing it up a little bit. I don't think Cypher is really known as being an Ascent pick, but if Boise State thinks they can make them work, then more power to them.
Yeah, and I mean, we've seen plenty of powerful Cypher plays in the past, so although he might not be the pick, I have seen someone use him effectively on the B side, actually, when I was checking out the pro play a little bit earlier. So always fun to see when you get some mix-ups in the match, though I am excited to see a little bit more of characters, since we haven't seen Ascent as a map like KO, who gets to kind of mix up the gameplay. KO and Killjoy, that combo, kind of really like to set the tone of the game and where you get to play from. So we'll have to see how the Broncos choose to handle that going forward.
Off we go into the game. Boise State going a bit more going a bit more ability focused. They want smokes that Omen will provide to them, so Prestige has decided to go for a classic instead. Skies, though, has gone full offense, thinks he can make it happen with the Sheriff, which in this case is the only gun here in the pistol round that can one-shot an opponent. So if he's accurate enough, he can completely wipe the other team.
Yeah, and as we get into the match, Boise State starting on defense with Nebraska going to be on offense. We're going to have to see where the first push begins, as that really can set the pace of a matchup.
This guy's taking a few long sight lines down mid, misses the shot, and that'll give away his position. If he wants to keep the element of surprise, he's going to have to reposition somewhere, find where he wants to take that sniping angle. As Nebraska slowly pushing their way up toward A.
Nebraska moving up towards A, starting to get some information for Boise State, throwing out some smoke and paranoia as Skelis is able to take out the opposing Sova. Prestige helping out, taking out the Killjoy, and with the spike carrier down and jet out, Boise State gets their first round and a flawless to boot.
It's definitely a game of margins. You want to have the cleanest wins you can in these early rounds. So not losing one player, and then especially in the second round, since they're going to have a gun advantage for this next purpose, I'd say, you know, the best they can hope for is obviously just not losing one person, but every person you lose is going to mean you have to repurchase a gun. You're not going to get as many credits. You're giving more credits over to the enemy team. So another flawless is what they need for round two.
And I mean, once you get to the first round, getting that flawless is pretty crucial and considered to be a pretty guaranteed win that Nebraska most surely wants to try and prevent them, but Skies is not going to let it happen, taking out 3 players immediately and getting the spike down on mid. Ray Rihanna sneaking through, taking out the KO, and Skies getting the other jet, going to get another flawless.
Well, I knew I said that Sheriff would be quite a threat in these early rounds. I didn't know it would
just
quite
really
be to
showing,
that extent. Yeah. But that also, you know, shots like that happen when you line up collaterals and you don't have your team positioned quite right. You know, you don't want to have that conga line all moving in at the same time, because then that bullet will go through one, through another, and sometimes can pick up 3, as we just saw. Now this is going to be the real test for the Broncos. Full rifles for Nebraska. Boise State is going to have the gun disadvantage this round as they go into bonus, and if they can win this round, it'll spell good things for them. But already Nebraska's pushing up against the choke, and Skies gets the first pick with a headshot.
Blocking off that easy entrance, Ray Rihanna able to take out 2 players immediately. Skelis is helping out with the shock dart, moving into the smoke. Ray Rihanna takes out the Sova as well, and the spike is down once again. Boise State able to lock down the spike. Prestige moving in. Killjoy trying to hold the line here, but just has to back off at this point. And with that, Boise State is able to take them out and take another win.
Yeah, winning your bonus round is probably the most momentum you could ask for in the early game, and it leaves options for all sorts of landslides on the table. You know, 12-1, 11-2. That's the way it's already looking here on Ascent, and Skies wants to waste no time getting into that sniping position. He's brought out that Outlaw, not as expensive as the Op, but can still be pretty deadly. And if you notice his KDA 611, that's already meeting, if not besting, his average kill-death ratio.
Outlaw is a really fun gun to watch anyway, so I'm excited to see it in play as we get into the next round. Omen smoking off some sightlines near A for the University of Nebraska here. This guy's going to move in, looking down the middle line, really wanting that opportunity to take a quick, easy pick here. Just barely misses the jet, but Prestige, Ray Rihanna, and Sky is able to take out 3 players. Now Nebraska is down just to 2. Their spike carrier now out. Prestige taking them down. They've got 1 player left and another flawless in the bag.
Dang, Boise State is just not letting off the accelerator at all, and already through all these kills that Skies has got for himself, he is looking at that Blade Storm, which is usually kind of used as a last resort in case your team has to go on an economy round. But with as well as Boise State is playing, they can purchase up for rounds and rounds at a time. So if he decides to use it, it's just because he wants to go on a big flashy offensive play. As far as I'm concerned.
Realistically, at any point, this can be a way to create space, you know, try and just get a faster overtake if Spike gets planted, but we're gonna jump right into it. Shock darts going out from Skelesis as he tries to get some more information. Jet moves in, he is taken out. Masters and Skelesis down. Nebraska gaining the upper hand at the start of this match. Able to take out 2 players, gaining the numbers advantage, and with that, Skies is going to bring out the Blade Storm.
Here we go. He's going to try to bring this round back. He's going to place 1 smoke down, move on and try to get the smoke. Oh, and just the crouch by Karai makes the blaze fly right over him. Nebraska wins that. Boise State takes their first L.
Nebraska being able to get a win here is going to be some good momentum for them to start here. And I am excited to see the deadlock here. Annihilation is going to be up. Actually, we did end up losing Blade Storm without it getting a lot of really good value out of it, but we were able to get 2 ultimates out instead. And Annihilation is a very fun one to watch. I've also just been enjoying watching Deadlock use the barrier mesh. It's always an interesting mix-up on sites. So we see Nebraska taking a little bit of a slower approach onto the sites here.
Skelesis checking around with the Owl drone is going to catch Kowalski with the dart, and that's a good target to get as well. Mariana takes out Tristan. Boise State already up 1 as the push comes through. Gonna spot him. 1 shot, getting the headshot onto Hide on Smoke. Now Kowalski just limping away, meeting back with his team in A short. Has a very tough job to try to push through these chokes. Boise State is holding down relentlessly.
With Boise State able to successfully prevent any taking of A site, Nebraska wanting to reassess where they're going to be, scoping out the middle area. Seeing some information here right now. Sova rotating over. Kowalski trying to decide if B site might be a good spot, but Masters is watching. With that, Nebraska really wants to be careful about how they go about this. You can see they're trying their best. Kowalski able to take out Skelesis. And now start to move back up to A site for round 2. Skies using the op, able to take out Killjoy. Now holding down that sight line. Not really wanting to pursue.
1 enemy remaining.
Prestige able to take out Kurai. And also get Kowalski with that. Boise State taking another round.
No surprise that Kowalski was the final one taken out. He is by far the brightest player for Nebraska. Is the only one who has a positive KD ratio, averages almost 25 kills a game. So he's the one who can stand up against Skies and being the one who can get to these early eliminations. That's why I said when the camera dart hit him and they knew exactly where he was and that was low on health, that was so much good information given over to Boise State. Because if you know where the top player is your biggest threat, then you can adjust your strategy
accordingly. Breathe a little easier, yeah. Going into this next round, Boise State creating a bit of cover for themselves on the site as Nebraska decides to go for B-side here. KO knife going out, trying to get some information. But yeah, not wanting to really immediately jump into it, though Prestige is able to take out Hide on Smoke.
Skies will find another pick onto Kowalski. Nebraska now down to 3, looking for another snipe and finds it. He's up to a double on the op. Throws down another smoke, repositions in case anyone wants to dare peek out again. He's going to start pressing up against them. Are they aware of the push? And just got a little bit too caught up in how long it takes to get that op scoped again. Maybe a little bit too overconfident, but still, very convincing win.
When you already took out a couple people with the operator, might as well try a little bit of extra play if you're able to get the jump on them with it. After all, it is one of the scariest weapons in the game, even with shields.
So now as we look at the overall economy, Boise State just rolling in it, whereas Nebraska is going for a half purchase. They're settling for 1 handgun because Hide on Smoke has his Blade Storm, but then the Guardian as well. So they'll be fairly evenly matched as far as guns are concerned, but Boise State, they win this, it's going to be yet another save round for Nebraska.
Nebraska moving in with the Blade Storm, trying to create some space. Hide on Smoke takes out Skelesis, but Prestige hiding in the backside, able to take out a player there. Skies now helping take out 1 player left. The spike is down. KO all on his own. Is not able to be taken out. Prestige is down. Masters now looking for his opportunity. Skies with the assist, able to take out the last player, and with that, Boise State able to prevent the plant.
It's going to force yet another save round onto Nebraska, which is just making a bad situation worse. Now, there are a few of their players that might be able to make something happen with their headshot percentage. You know, some of the best ways to overcome these save rounds is getting those one taps on the shares. So I'm looking at different players with their headshot percentage. Kowalski, 27% headshot, as well as Bonsai. They could be the ones to help bring this back in a save round.
Yeah, big thing is always just trying the best to be as precise as possible in these rounds, really wanting to boost up your eco, though. Right now, for Nebraska, also wanting you to be very careful about where they place that spike, as many times spike carrier has been taken out. And we see right there, 2 players down for Nebraska. Skelesis being taken out in the trade, but overall positive for Boise State here. Killjoy getting a little bit of surprise there, but with the op out now on taking out another player. Hide on Smoke taking out Ray Rihanna. Nebraska down to 2 players. Boise State with the operator taking out Hide on Smoke. With that, Jet is the last player left for Boise State, but so is Killjoy.
Going to be a little bit of an uncomfortable situation for Skies because it can be difficult to retake points with the op. It's much more of a defensive weapon that he's pushing in. So he's going to bring out the
Blade Storm.
Try to catch it. Spends nearly everything. Brings out the shorty, and that is not going to come in handy in a lone range fight.
Yeah, with that, Killjoy able to get the plant, and Nebraska take a second point. Chaos really ended up favoring them there, being spread out, able to distract a little bit. Got some knockouts on Boise State to get them some numbers advantage there for a moment. And
definitely seemed like a case of itchy trigger finger there also.
Yeah.
Just nearly spent all of the knives.
Yeah, jumping a little bit too fast with that. I mean, even the knives, you need to be precise.
All right, going into round 10, the best Boise State can hope for is a 10-2 lead. Still 3 rounds to go here in the half.
Nebraska moving towards A side. Looking for an opportunity. What they don't realize yet is that there is a Jet, at least until that recon bolt reveals Skies, wanting them to push back. Now with the suppress and the Hunter's Fury out. Nebraska committing plenty of ultimates here to gain the advantage, but Prestige is able to take out 2 players with Hide on Smoke, getting Prestige out, but it is too late there. Now with Skies moving in, with that, Boise State able to take what could have been a devastating situation with those ultimates and turn it around. My goodness.
A lot of focus does go on to Skies because in terms of raw numbers, he's the one who gets the most kills and has the highest kill-death ratio. But if you're looking for a case of who can consistently be the most deadly when they shoot, it's going to be Prestige. You can see there one of his kills was a headshot, and he has a headshot accuracy rating of 40%. Nearly 1 in 2 of every shot he takes is an accurate headshot.
Which is an incredible thing in Valorant, and I mean, anytime we can see that, that is something to be wary of. And
the one thing to keep in mind also with the op is that Skies is not obligated to hit the heads. He knows, like right there, he can just hit the body and it's enough damage to take him out, but he misses that op shot. Will duck back for some cover with only 36 health.
They're still able to get the shot. With that, 2 players down to Skies, and kind of some firefights going on the other side. Hide on Smoke taking out multiple players of Boise State. Skies going to swap to the Odin, gaining a little bit more versatility there to try and trick someone out of the smoke, maybe get a couple lucky hits off. Does not see anyone, not realizing that there is 2 players there. But with the spike down, Nebraska has to try and figure out how to recover this without Boise State taking them out. But right now, Boise State does have a good watch on, and Prestige is lurking around, and he does not even see him.
Ouch! That's just disrespectful. Oh. Well, it's going to be that sort of game.
9-2, last round before the swap. Boise State looking to, as we see, we were talking about the dangers of lurking earlier, and well, that can be the what you expect sometimes with a player wanting to just kind of scope it out and get a little bit lucky with someone not checking their angles and not noticing that you might be around the other corner.
Now here's a chance to end this first half at a very respectable 10-2. Bladestorm already used by Nevada to start things off, and Skies just says nope to that, lands a headshot on Hide on Smoke. Things are evened up though with Tristan landing the headshot onto Skies, so that's Boise State's main fragger gone.
The operator out of the way for Nebraska. They can breathe a little more easily, but not too easy as Prestige and Ray Rihanna take out 2 players. Prestige is taken out in the process, but now it's 3-2 with Boise State hanging on. Just to
very
all the
crucial for
here.
Ariana to pick that up as well. He's kind of the most kind of hot and cold player on Boise State, the only one with basically an even kill-death ratio, so he's taking out as many times as he gets taken out. So that's kind of the most coin flip of will Boise State step up to the challenge, and if he's landing his kills to put Boise State at an advantage, I think that's spelling very good things for this final 40 seconds.
Skelos is gaining some information around mid, knows there are players there, but is not able to outpace the Omen, taken out by Kowalski here. Boise State and Nebraska now even 2-2. Masters hanging out on B-side by himself, gets the great lineup there, taking out the Spike and Kowalski there. Knows there's one more player left. Carefully playing around the angles, looks for the shots here. Omen is right around the corner and he knows it. Gonna move around. And with that, Ray Rihanna is able to take him out, joining him just to give him some extra backup.
That was very, very smart play there by Master. I mean, it's so easy in a situation like that
to just move in.
Take the ego peek, try to win the one-on-one, but you play to the advantage that you have if you know you have a teammate. So Master just kind of stalled things out until his teammate could get on back to site B, land the shot for him with that Vandal, and very nice, very clean first half by Boise State.
And with that, we have now swapped Boise State on attack and Nebraska on defense, going to give us a little bit of a swap up, reset of the ultimates, the weapons, and the economy, just to see how now we'll adjust to our new sides and positions. Boise State, it will be interesting to see now having a little bit of a disadvantage character-wise. Not too much, but you know, some characters that do prefer their defensive positions now having to use them a little bit more creatively as we move into B-side. Boise State immediately getting into a firefight. Kowalski is out. This guy's on the Sheriff here as we get an ultimate orb captured. With some smoke for cover, Boise State moves into the site, checking all their angles. Prestige taking out Hide on Smoke.
Wow.
Tristan going down right afterwards, checking that back line by Spawn. Does spot another player, but does not need to immediately move up with the barrier mesh protecting them. Now another player down. Kurai taking out Masters, and Nebraska at 1 player left with the Spike down. Boise State is kind of able to lock down the area and just wait for them in the smoke, and with that, take the next round.
And winning this pistol round in the second half is so important. They means they can purchase up now. They'll have the gun advantage. If anything, Nebraska might actually be forced here to purchase up in guns instead of doing the typical, you know, wait until the next round, because
there's
next
not
round
really
after
a
this
lot of
round
rounds.
could be match point. Yeah, so
Yeah.
this might not be a typical round 2, but if it is, Boise State is, oh, it is going to be. So Boise State looking in great position to set themselves up in match point.
Nebraska considering their decisions, deciding to go with the standard route as we swap over to A side here for Boise State. Moving up rather quickly. Kurai is able to take out Ray Rihanna before Boise State is able to take anyone else out. Sky is sneaking up in the back line here, looking for a potential pick as Hide on Smoke takes out Masters, but what they don't see is Sky's in the back line and 2 other players getting taken out. Now Boise State on their last player is not able to really get into the map here and kind of denied before they could get onto A side.
Very huge win for Nebraska, being able to stop Boise State. You know, Boise State is kind of split on whether they want to go for the full purchase. Sky certainly wants to go for the full purchase with the Odin, but no one else can afford, you know, even like a Bulldog or something like that. So it's a very odd loadout for the Broncos as they need to stop what could be Nebraska's first step in a comeback.
Nebraska looking much more comfortable with their loadouts right now. As we jump into the next match, going back to B-side, Hide on Smoke is able to take out Skies rather quickly. As we move into the smoke, Hide on Smoke takes out Prestige and Kurai takes out Ray Rihanna. Boise State completely taken out with Nebraska gaining a flawless here.
But the rest of the Broncos did save the last round, which means this next round should be the one where they have full rifles here. Boise State is just kind of losing to some of the stickier players of Nebraska. A lot of their players have kind of negative KD ratios, being taken out more than they're landing these eliminations. But some of them, especially Tristan, actually has a 7-3 KD because while his average 14 kills a game isn't the most impressive, he goes down so rarely that he's often the last one on his team.
Yeah, he's very good at sticking by and holding down the fort as long as possible, and we see swapping over to Kowalski holding down that sight line on B site. Boise State moving up, able to take out Hide on Smoke as they move through the middle. Now checking on A side, using the smoke for some cover here. Looking for some opportunities to cut off their opponents as they prepare to push into the site. This guy's also looking rather low at this point. Kind of stray bullet or a sneeze might take them out.
Prestige moves on back to place some smokes. Boise State still being a bit cautious. They know they have plenty of time to work with. They're going to take a few peeks out toward mid, see how well defended B is. Well, they still have a few poking out around A. Oh, that's not what they want to happen, though. You do not want your lurker getting taken out. But it might still fake out Nebraska to make them think they're going A, and Boise State will get pretty safe passage into B and at least get the spike planted.
With the spike planted, Boise State now going to begin the defensive positioning with the smoke out, able to create a little bit of a barrier here, knowing that there are players on the other side. Going for those stray bullet shots to see if anything will happen, but the suppression also rather painful, but not really stopping Prestige or Skelesis as they manage to take out 3 players. With that, Nebraska is just down to Killjoy, hanging on here in the back, but with the smoke on, Boise State gets a great view and able to take them out and take the round.
Match point.
And Nebraska would have to pull off 8 wins here just to tie it up and drive it to overtime. Boise State has plenty of time to work with. Just got to make sure they don't get too ahead of themselves. Don't take any engagements that are ill-advised. Take, one-on-ones when they have a team advantage. Just play it safe, play it cool, play it slow, and they'll have it.
Yeah, and jumping into this round, we also see just a little bit more evenness here with the weaponry, though, for both sides. Though there is an operator in play, if I believe I saw correctly. As we move in, Kowalski takes out Skies and Masters using Odin, but Ray Rihanna is able to take out Kowalski. Moving on to the B side, Hide on Smoke with the op gets a little bit taste of their own medicine. Prestige out, Ray Rihanna activating Annihilation, able to capture a target. And with that, Nebraska is down to 1 player as Jet is going to be taken out by the Annihilation, and the ace is gained by Ray Rihanna with match point taking the map.
What? That is quite astounding there. To end the round with a complete ace. Boise State definitely wants to have a positive period placed on their Valorant PEC season, as Nebraska is going to be forced to be put into reverse sweep territory as we move on into Sunset.
Yeah, and Sunset is a favored map of Boise State, so that'll be a challenge, though, as we're still kind of getting used to some of the updates. It's not as comfortable as we once used to be, but overall still a very interesting map, and one that has, I think, a little bit more variety in how everything looks than Ascent, so I'm excited to see how that might shake up the gameplay going forward for both of these teams.
We're also seeing just a lot of great team play all around. Even if a player isn't kind of rising to the top of the kills, like the pure KD ratio, Boise State is always making sure its players come on in to to make sure that they initiate their play as a group. Most specifically, Rariana, who we kind of mentioned as being the one player with an even KD ratio. He does have a K assist ratio of 36%, meaning for a good amount of the rounds, he's still assisting his teammates, still picking off damage here and there, and making an overall dent in the other team.
Yeah, and something that Boise State will want to continue to watch is, I think, just also like Kurai, as we were watching, although, you know, we were talking about how Kowalski gets a lot of those like backbone plays for Nebraska, we were seeing some consistent moments where he was just watching a really good sight line as they moved onto site, just instantly took someone out. I mean, there was a couple times he took out Skies, giving a just comfortable room for Nebraska to play, and he was part of why they were able to shut down Boise State on A side later down in the match. So it's going to be an interesting, I just think, continued interactions between both of these teams now that they've gotten more comfortable and familiar with how they're all playing going into the next map.
Now, Sunset definitely brings out a few particularly food for thought choices for Boise State. I mean, you could have the Gecko be brought out. I mean, he has been nerfed a little bit, but historically, Boise State has really loved playing their Gecko as one of their favorite agents, and I've seen them use it on Sunset from here and there. I don't know if I see enough for Skies to swap on over to the Rays, but I know that he's just as effective on the Rays as he is the Jet.
Yeah, Raze is definitely a preferred character for a lot of that. I wouldn't be surprised if we see Gecko. I mean, the patch that they did to change him up was not necessarily so substantial that he's bad at this point. If anything, it just made him more fair. You're not going to see Thrash every other round at this point if the team is playing well, which, you know, although love Thrash, love all the characters, it's good as, you know, if I was playing on the other team, I would not want to be constantly being chased by the giant land shark that could incapacitate me as everyone else gets to run up at me.
It's just a scary thought, a land shark. I would not want sharks to be on land. I'm glad I'm safe here as far as sharks are concerned.
Yeah. More than happy to be sitting in this chair and not in that map being chased around. But it looks like Gecko is not on the horizon as we get to see, you know, a new character for PEC, Reyna, coming out to kind of finish up with Yoru. Also, I don't think I've ever seen him on this map, so this will be a fun. Oh no, I have seen him. Yeah, I've seen him for Boise State. I don't think I've seen other teams play him.
He can be pretty darn effective. He requires a very skilled player in order to make his full potential be known. What caught my eye is Bonsai has completely gone over to Reyna, which I think if there's any player that's going to pick the Reyna, Bonsai is one that can definitely qualify. The thing about the Reyna is so many of her abilities, you know, except for the eyes, except for the are very selfishly oriented. You know, they're meant to benefit the Reyna and keep her momentum going as soon as she lands a kill. So if you're playing as Reyna, you don't have too much utility to contribute to the whole team ecosystem. Instead, your contribution in the team is you're expected to just get kills and get kills quickly.
Your job is to just clean up and continue on. But that's the key thing, momentum. Reyna is a character that is really based on momentum and their ability to set it up, so Nebraska will really want to make sure that whatever they do, they're giving lots of opportunities to their Reyna to get those setups, as well as their Yoru too. I mean, you were talking about it. I'm a fan of Yoru. Yoru's a really interesting character with his ability to reposition and trick people, as well as the fake out getting some updates. Could have some really good opportunities here, as we already see interaction go back and forth, some trades as Neon takes out two players for Boise State, and Boise State kind of just getting caught in middle here by Nebraska.
Nebraska really decided to go for a very gun-ho approach against the Broncos, just moving right across the plaza and getting into their spawn. That might work for one round, but now that Boise State is kind of aware that Nebraska might just try a very aggro strategy. I mean, if you look at them, they've gone for four duelists and the Sage, which is not a meta composition by any means. This is much more of kind of a solo QE mentality.
And jumping into it, we see Boise State moving away from middle where they were taken out, going a little bit faster onto A side. Kowalski taking out Skelis, is holding down the elbow here. Boise State gaining some momentum, trying to move forward as the rest of Nebraska rotates over to assist. Yoru goes out, but is taken out by Prestige here. It's Boise State just, again, holding down in the elbow. Just waiting for anyone to try and peek with Kowalski hanging on there. Sky's taken out by Curai, and the spike is down. Boise State moves to recover it, but isn't able to immediately do it. Throws a shock dart out, gets some damage onto two players. As Kowalski taken out by Prestige. Ray Rihanna trying to hold down, but Curai is able to take him out, and Master's also down. Prestige just stuck in the elbow here, trying to fight off Lorena and not able to.
Yeah, a lot of them were caught with stuff like the Frenzy and taking these very long angles, which just a weapon like the Frenzy is not going to land you the damage that you need. Now, in this round, this Boise State can purchase up to full rifles like the Vandal, and that gun will definitely work in a long-range fight.
Elbow looking a little bit more comfortable if that's the case, but Nebraska gaining some momentum that they weren't able to gain in the first map. Going to be able to play a little bit more confidently here as Boise State decides to move over, at least to start, to look at that B side, which is an old favorite of theirs. Taking out the camera, Prestige taking out Tristan, moving in through the side on B side. Aldrone out, they are able to see Kowalski moving back, do not want to get immediately hit here. Nebraska creating a wall to really just kind of prevent immediate push through this area. Boise State not able to get through it.
Nice shot by Master, gets rid of hide on smoke. Now Boise State finds himself up 2. And they take the bet that A is going to be pretty darn open, which seems to be something that could work out for them, although they decide to re-hit B instead.
Boise State moving back towards B, moving in. Skelis is taken out immediately by Kowalski. Curai taking out Skies. Boise State down to 2 players as Masters is also down. Kowalski kind of been a menace here on this Neon, chasing Breach down. Breach able to finally take down Kowalski, but Curai is able to get Ray Rihanna, and the Reyna follows up. Boise State not able to get the next round. Nebraska getting the 3rd.
Yeah, this is where teams that you think would have an advantage can really just start slipping in this overconfidence. I don't know. That would have been such a good rotation over to A. They would have only had to deal with the one Reyna, and should they double peek correctly, that's going to be no problem. They have a free site to plant on, and then he could go into post plant. To re-hit B, they walked right into the close angle Kowalski was holding on that judge.
Nebraska also bringing the operator out. Now Boise State will have to be a little bit more carefully. Hide on smoke, taking out Skelesis right off the bat here. Neon is just not working out for them like they would want. Ray Rihanna checking the angles, able to take out Hide on smoke. Rotates, sees the Neon, takes her out before she can do major damage, but is taken out himself. Boise State activating another ultimate. Breach going to use it here, but now down to 2 players, and Nebraska at 3. With Jet holding down A site, Boise State can't immediately move to plant.
Spike against Tristan, now down to 2 on 2. They still haven't planted the spike, so the clock is working against them, though they do have a healthy minute.
Rotating, checking the angles, just barely sees the Jet, knows that they're there, going to teleport to gain new angle. Sees Jet, able to take out Curai here, and now Skies has gained control of the point, knows that there's 1 player left, and with the Omen smoke giving them some extra safety, Boise State going to begin the plant. Reyna pops out of the smoke and does not see Skies, so Bonsai is out.
And that's the tricky thing about Reyna, is she only has the Leer to use, and even using that kind of gives away her presence, so it was a very uncomfortable position to try to push through that smoke. Boise State just played that confidently. I think the one thing that they need to adjust most, though, going forward is I think they're playing a little bit too much the mentality that some angles are just safe to go out through. You know, if they're on our side of the field, you know, we can go through angles, but Nebraska has shown their strategy is to push up, hold the angles tight, and get right in Boise State's face. So they need to make sure that they're using their utility and not taking too many drag peeks.
And speaking of trying to get out there, immediately Kowalski takes out Skelesis, and the Bladestorm is out as well. Nebraska creating space for themselves, though. Curai is down before the Bladestorm can do anything. Kowalski taking out Ray Rihanna. Masters is down. with that, the back and forth is just continuing to happen for both sides here. Boise State able to recover Spike, but down to one player.
Spike down.
Prestige holding on, able to take out both players. What a hard angle to watch there, too. You really did not have a lot of options, but Prestige was able to make it happen.
Yeah, but I also said he's the one with the highest headshot percentage of any of the players, so he's the one who can end these one-on-ones really quickly. And Nebraska is now very crucially going to be forced onto the save round, which we know that in past rounds here on Sunset, when they've had low guns, they've gone for these short range. You know, they want to go for the sheriff, land that one shot, or go for the judge, which Kowalski certainly has here. But Skelesis might be trying to answer fire with fire. He's got a judge of his own.
Already the Hunter's Fury out. Boise State hoping for some potential early picks, but Kowalski is able to take out Skelesis. Now moving up through the elbow.
Not going to fall for the decoy.
Checking that angle, it has been deadly before. Just getting some information, seeing two players there. The line goes out, hide on smoke is down, so is Kowalski. This guy's taken out of the process. Neural theft will go through. Now Boise State knows exactly where Nebraska is. Bonsai taking out another player. Oh, rough spot to try and gain that, and with that, Prestige is down. Elbow has not been a good one for Boise State recently.
Huh?
Just elbow has not been a great spot for Boise State.
Yeah, and especially kind of the jitters I was seeing from Master there. I mean, I'm just not seeing these headshots landed as often as they are. And Master, he's not too far from Prestige in headshot percentage. He's only 1% behind it, landing at 39% of the time, but that has just not been the case here on Sunset. Boise State has been missing a lot of these shots they normally make. And that's led to a Nebraska lead by 2.
Nebraska also gaining some good information potential here with Yoru having his ultimate, Reyna also having her own. Boise State will want to think carefully about how to deal with those when the time comes. But for now, trying to check for the Sage, but is taken out. Rihanna is down. Yeah, that Sage wall has just been a consistent presence there, really denying Boise State's ability to move on to B. Prestige and Skelesis is moving up, Neon doing a peek, and with that, Prestige is able to take out Sage. Going to try and break down the wall, but Reyna is right there. Boise State moving back to not be immediately taken out as Bonsai hides behind the box. Boise State deciding not to push through there is going to take a little bit of a walk through mid.
Peek out around the corner, hide on smoke, gets the better of Skies. Drive wins against Prestige here.
Oh no.
Not too much they can do because that was a save round, but again, a lot of the guns they purchased for that save rounds were the Sheriffs, the guns that demand the headshot more than anything else, and that's just not landing for the Broncos.
Boise State here now able to get a little bit more variety in their weaponry, but going to want to watch out as the operator is back for Sage, and with the angles that Sage can create with her ice wall, that will be interesting to see where they decide to post up to start. Boise State leaving the spike behind the wall as they go to gain more information. Aldro going out. Going to jump right into the ultimates with the Breach Neon combo. Moving into B-side, but Kowalski is able to take out 3 players before being taken out themselves. Boise State down to 2 players here as Nebraska rotates over. Prestige taking out Tristan. Rihanna moving through the smoke in the backlines. They don't quite know where they are.
Player standing.
Moves around, sees the Reyna, but not able to get the headshot as Prestige and Rihanna are taken out.
Yeah, I don't know what's up with the Broncos right now. I'll be perfectly honest with you, because this is like a fool me once, fool me twice situation. We've seen Kowalski take that same angle with that judge so many times that you would think some round in the future, we'd think, okay, he might be holding this gun with the shotgun. It's not like he's done this every other round, but it's just food for thought.
Yeah. And unfortunately
yet
for
they keep
Boise State,
walking right
Kowalski
into it.
is going to be hanging around a corner once again here. As they decide to rotate to A, they're gonna rotate back to B, maybe deciding that they have a better chance here after attempting a previous move. Nebraska getting an idea that this might be what's going on. We'll rotate over, Bonsai taking out Skies with the op. Spike is down, Sage moves up, but is only able to get a trade here. Boise State down 2, Nebraska down 2 as well. Great peek from the smoke there by Prestige, and with the spike down, Boise State begins the defense. Using the Cypher Cage for a little bit extra space, Kowalski moves in with his ultimate and gets the defuse with Korai assisting.
7-2 now for Nebraska as things have just completely fallen by the wayside for Boise State. The angles they choose to peek, they almost immediately get headshot on. Even if they don't immediately get headshot, they're losing the one-on-ones shortly after that. They're landing hardly any headshots. It's a very rough first half for the Broncos that I was frankly not expecting to see.
With that operator, they're taking out one player. It also just gave Nebraska some good momentum, though. Boise State was able to clean it up. They just weren't able to get on the defense fast enough here, as Nebraska just moved in before they really got to position at all. 7-2 here. Nebraska on the defense still. Boise State moving over to A side, checking through the middle. Kurai looking for an opportunity. Cypher Cage is up. Braver unable to take out Hide on Smoke. As he moves up, Kowalski is right there on the angle for elbow once again. Skelis is moving in, trying to take him out, but isn't able to, though. Kowalski is now down and out. Probably a sigh of relief from Boise State not having to worry about him being around an angle anymore. Breach is going to throw out some abilities onto A side.
Cage triggered.
Tristan lands a shot against Rariana. Tristan will use his ult, the res, onto Kowalski, resetting this round and making it so Nebraska now has the advantage. Meanwhile, Boise State has sneakily placed on B. They're trying to move up into the enemy spawn to place their smoke. And they got to get ready because the counterattack is coming in fierce from Nevada. Nebraska.
Prestige taking out Kurai, though, before he can really do any damage. Kowalski moving in, takes out Prestige. Bonsai taking out Sky. The Masters hiding behind a box, able to take out both Bonsai and Kowalski. Now the defuse does begin. Masters knows that they're there. Trying to potentially check them. Gets the wrong angle, and Boise State able to get the clutch. That's the one thing about any defuse rounds there, when you are trying to watch those two sight lines, it's that 50-50 guess of where they might be. That's always a rough spot there, but for Masters they're kind of picking up on the idea that it might be good to hunker down here, able to really gain a lot of momentum for the team.
Despite things going rough for them in a good number of these first few rounds, it is still possible for them to end this first half relatively tied 7-5. They just really got to make sure that, especially with Bonsai holding this op, that makes that B angle very deadly to push.
Skelis is wanting to try and get as much information as possible. Knows Kowalski is over there. Tristan as well tries to go for the shot, is not able to take them out. Tristan having to back off, but Masters does take out Bonsai on B side. Nebraska wondering where they might be, coming around from an off angle, able to take Hide on Smoke, is able to take out Skies. Rayurana taking him out instead. But now, kind of a couple trades back and forth here for the Broncos with Nebraska. Still with the numbers advantage, but down 2 players, and Neural Theft going to go out. Immediately seeing Kurai.
Forces the tailwind exactly as the ping goes off.
Kurai taking out Skelesis, but Master is able to avenge them here. Boise State gets onto site. Kowalski tries to slide in, but is shut down. Prestige able to get the plant. I do appreciate that Neural Theft right there, where it's like, let me just throw that out. And Kurai was like, I'm going to move it. Never mind. Top 10 moments of I might make a mistake here. But luckily for Boise State, able to kind of shut down any, what could have been a devastating slide in from the Jet. And gain some more momentum, now 7-4.
Oh, they actually took a shot there, but it looks like it was a leg shot from the off, so doesn't do full damage. Boise State bringing out the Rolling Thunder to clear out B. Nebraska dives on back toward their spawn. Just wait out the ultimates. Boise State goes in to get the plant fast.
Spike is down. Boise State now going to begin the defense. As Kurai and Tristan take out 2 players, but Prestige is able to shut down Kowalski.
Oh,
Gets the fake out. Hangs on, but sees 2 players in there, and it's just hide on smoke with the op, able to take out Master. Sage walling Prestige. He's now stuck behind the wall as Kurai begins the defuse here. Going to go for an ability to try and slow down and stall as he goes through the wall, but Tristan's right there. That's never a good feeling when you get stuck in a box like that.
No, they just completely called that out.
Switching sides.
Now, here's the one interesting thing, though, is that Nebraska is now going to be attacking with this 4 duelist composition. The one thing about this is that they don't really have too much post-plant. You know, the great thing about the controllers is they have a lot of smokes, and the smokes last for a long time, so you can transition over. If you manage to get the plant really fast, you can get some sight denial for the other team trying to retake the point. Nebraska really doesn't have that. They'll have some abilities used to clear out space. I mean, the duelists do have some of those abilities like the blinds and the leer from the Reyna, but after that, after they get the plant, they're going to have no way of really stopping Boise State.
I wouldn't be shocked if their goal is very much to just try and take out as many players before the plant as possible, really try not to have to do much post-plant play as they go straight through the middle, trying to go as quickly as possible, trying to spot some players. The stage wall goes off to kind of block off the spawn here as Boise State rotates through spawn, planting a player there, hide on smoke to try and catch someone off guard here. As they go for the plant from the back here, Sky's now in their spot, taken out by Kowalski. Spike has been planted onto the side here. Boise State being taken out by Kurai, my goodness. Just kind of an unorthodox move in through the middle and spawn, but ends up working out for Nebraska, and they take the point.
Yeah, I don't know if it's nerves at this point. I think a timeout should have probably been called a good while ago, but it's like we're seeing a lot of kind of initial shots by Boise State, you know, a lot of bap, 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 only for Nebraska to just calmly breathe in, 1 shot to the head, they get it. And that's just showing me kind of an erosion of that general aiming ability. I mean, Prestige is still mostly on point, but the rest of the team has fallen out from under him.
And Kurai has been really instrumental here for Nebraska in taking out players, which has been interesting to see going forward as we move up. Kowalski once again taking out 2 players here, though is shortly taken out by Prestige. They are able to get the plant with another quick move onto the site, and now Boise State will have to begin the retake. 3 to 4 here, Tremor goes out. And now Boise State kind of rotating around, knows that there's another player behind them, sees the fake out, tries to go for hide on smoke, but there's a trade and 2 players are down. Boise State now down to Skelesis here. Skelesis moving in. Gets a gets the first headshot here. Bonsai down. Boise State looking for the defuse.
Try to fake on the defuse.
Are you kidding me?
There's someone right there, but Kurai able to take out Skelesis.
Boise State now finds themselves 6 rounds behind Nebraska. This is the all-crucial round, though. This is the typical bonus round, which means, if anything, they should be expected to win this round, but they weren't able to pull it off in the first half. But still, a 9-5 scoreline is much more to work with than it going 10-4 at this time. 10-4 means, you know, you might be able to afford 1 economy round, but really after that, there's nothing you can work with.
Yeah, you don't have a lot of space to work with at all. Pressure begins. Prestige taking out Kowalski. Skelesis taking out Kurai. Really denying a lot of those heavy hitters that have been plaguing them at the beginning of these matches here. Blocking off that door there. Yoru is kind of isolated from his team with the spike as Skelesis takes out Tristan. Boise State hanging on to all their players, with Omen really kind of just hanging on there in the back line.
Yeah, but he's taken a pretty safe angle, so Boise State isn't really extending him into too many risky scenarios. Reyna coming on in to try to take out A, but this is a hard angle that's being held, and Skies comes in to hold the cross angle too, while His friend is checking his camera.
Now with one player left, Yoru kind of just standing there. Does not realize the Prestige is behind him, and Boise State is able to take another flawless.
One of those things where if you see the Yoru standing directly still like that, you're still not, you know, exactly sure. Kind of a weird moment there.
It's like you don't have any util that requires you to sit there for a second.
But even if this was a general round that Boise State was expected to win, it's the margins that all matter here. And so getting a complete flawless there is a definite step in the right direction for the Broncos.
Going into the next match, Boise State starting up much farther into A, taking out two players before being knocked down. My goodness. Kind of taking a play out of the playbook from Kowalski there. And able to take him out as well as the Reyna.
Cover going out.
Boise State knows that they're on A, adding some smokes to the mix to just kind of cut down those sight lines. Hide on smoke is taken down, but Ray Rihanna and Prestige are out for the count as well, as the plant is going to begin here.
Planted.
Boise State
Sky's
knows they need to
jumping
play
over the wall.
over the wall.
Does he see the
Sky's checking
Sky?
general angle.
Does he see the jet? He does, but not too late, and Kurai is able to take out both Skies and
Yeah,
Master.
he tried to get too fancy with it. He didn't pull out his gun soon enough, and yeah, and see, this is what has been making me nervous about most of this game. I'm seeing some of like these ego plays, like the body shooting after I get the knife, and all this stuff, like Skelis is diving into the enemy team to try to catch him off guard and get the few initial picks. You know, Valorant is an ego game. Like, it really, people love flexing, they love showing, but that thing is going to bite, that mentality is going to bite you in the butt so fast if you're underestimating your team here.
Especially now later in the game where it's 11-5, but we're going to start off with the overdrive on Nebraska's side, pushing up already into A, but Masters is going to quickly take out both Kowalski and Bonsai, really shutting down any idea that that's going to happen. Kurai taking out Masters. They don't see Skies here as he takes out the Yoru now. Boise State responding with their own overdrive, moving into A, taking out both Tristan. Skelis is down. Kurai being the last player, not able to do much as Ray Rihanna takes him out.
Really crucial also that they only lost one with Kurai there at the very end. You want to try to keep these wins as clean as you can. Trading 1 for 1 to end the round, that's fine. Should have Kurai gotten any more eliminations, then it might have been a win, but it would have been a win. Boise State would have had to pay probably a little bit too many credits to keep, for them to keep purchasing rifles regularly later on in the game.
Boise State now setting up once again very far up onto B side here as Nebraska going to look like they're going to full send onto A like they did before, moving up. They do have the Cypher tripwires to worry about. As Boise State moves up, Paranoia goes out, Sky's taking out Kurai. Trapwire is triggered. They know exactly where Nebraska is, but Nebraska has already moved onto the site. Neural Theft going to go out to reveal their location. Skelis, knowing Sage is right there, takes them out, moves around to elbow, knows that Yoru is around, and also able to knock him out. With that, Boise State able to take out every single player here.
That was as perfect a Neural Theft usage as I've seen in a long time. Grats to the Broncos for getting that win. Take them now only 4 behind, 7-11. Nice flawless. And if Boise State keeps on winning these rounds, that means they're going to eventually be able to trade 2 for 1, force Nebraska onto some of these save rounds.
Now we just see right here too, as they're moving up, the Neural Theft goes out.
They've really buffed that. I mean, that can hit from a long ways now.
Yeah, I was impressed by that, and also great timing on the Neural Theft for Skelis, just setting him up for a perfect like 1-2 punch there. As the rest of the team is able to just kind of clean it up.
This loadout from Nebraska, these are the old demons Boise State has been facing from earlier on in these matches. These sheriffs and the judge, which can just land these one-hit shots, but they're not going to fall for it for this round as Skelis gets the first pick onto Tristan.
Skelis is taking out Tristan. Nebraska down a player and not wanting to immediately move on to a site as quickly as they have in the past. Hanging in mid here now. have to decide how they're going to play this. Tripwire is there to really deny them just moving up through the middle as they have in the past. Boise State just holding their sightlines. Right on Smoke watching the corner here.
Capture one little tick toward his ultimate, but still a ways off from the dimensional drift.
Oh, the firefight begins. Right on Smoke moving in, but is taken out by Prestige. Kowalski taking out Skelesis. As Kurai is able to now move on to site here with Prestige down. Ray Rihanna, though, denying Kurai that, as now Nebraska is going to attempt the plant, but oh, that was a quick catch there for Ray Rihanna now. Nebraska down to one player, kind of boxed in here.
Play this smart, play to your advantage.
Sky's out. Ray Rihanna comes around the angle here and is able to take down the Reyna.
Solid double peek there from Boise State, securing the win at the very end. Now they're just 3 away. Little by little, they're slowly making up for a very rough first half, but now things are really starting to get exciting.
Yeah, one thing that has definitely been a challenge for Nebraska is that once they have to slow down, that is kind of a struggle for this team. Really wanting to be able to jump in with both, like, you know, Neon and Jet just kind of raring to go. It's been giving them a lot of struggle at this point, that they're really just not having a lot of room to work with as we jump in this next round here. Boise State looking for some information, sees that they want to go through middle. Ray Rihanna backing off, does not want to immediately get taken out, and it ends up benefiting them incredibly as they take out 4 players in the middle here. Down to the Jet, and Spike is down, and they have control.
Rihanna trying to take a look around these corners. Kurai slowly making their way up to A, managed to catch Ray Rihanna off guard, but now that they know where he is, the rest of the team can play this nice and slow. They can just watch over this spike. Nebraska has to plant that spike before that clock reaches 0. And the smart thing to do by Boise State is just to not go hunting here, but since they know Nebraska has to come to them to pick up that spike, they can just sit back and hold some cross angles and watch and wait.
Oh, Kurai takes out Skies. Wow, he's attempting a reposition here. However,
Nice use.
as Kurai moves in, Skelesis with Prestige as his backup, able to take him out, and Boise State takes the round 11-9 now.
And Kurai isn't the most explosive member of Nevada. He has a negative KD ratio of negative 1.8, only about 14.5 kills per game. He's not normally the top fragger for Nevada, but he's found himself as the last player in a lot of these matches on Sunset.
Yeah, and he's even been able to overtake Kowalski here, which, as we were talking about earlier, typically has one of the highest KDs on the team. So this has really been working out well for him. Getting into the next match, Nebraska moving on to B site here, going to move up. Fake out goes out, but Boise State is not tricked by it, moving back to create a little bit of space and not get caught off guard. The wall goes out. Kowalski getting a couple shots off on Prestige as Rolling Thunder goes through. Bonsai takes out Ray Rihanna. Masters trying to use the wall for some extra advantage, just taking down Skelesis, and Masters takes out Bonsai. Masters is down though, and just once again with another explosive jump onto the site, Nebraska is able to get the plant and bring it to match point.
3 rounds the Broncos need to get now. 3 rounds. They cannot lose anything from here on out. One of the Masters decided to go with the Ode. It's a bit of an interesting choice on Sunset. There are a few areas here that you can wallbang. But it isn't the first map that comes to my mind when I think of Odin usage, so I'm curious to see how he uses it.
Overdrive starting off the map here with just a kind of overwhelming fight here for Boise State in the middle there. Ray Rihanna now taken out with that. Nebraska also having an ultimate out is going to be a dangerous spot with Reyna having just kind of all of her abilities maxed out. You do not want to take a firefight lightly with her. He's ready to
Oh my goodness.
plant. Oh, Masters taking out 2 players, however, gets the neural theft off. We can see where the players are now. And with that, Boise State has a pretty good idea of where they are and what to do. Not able to immediately use it, but Prestige gets Bonsai, takes them out, gets taken out by the Sage, and Masters, knowing generally where they are, uses the Odin to full effect through that wall.
Oh.
Is able to get the defuse.
All right, if he wants to use the Odin and get a quad kill, then by all means, if that's what works out for him, then go forward with that. Boise State hanging on by just 1-person Master, but they still live for another round.
I think he sensed your question of the Odin and decided to explain exactly why he picked that.
I'm still not entirely sold, to be perfectly honest
well,
with you.
luckily for you, you get to see it for another round, and maybe it'll convince you.
Maybe. Problem is, Nebraska's going to have 3 ultimates available to them now.
And considering the ultimates that they have and what they've been really enjoying doing, just moving onto sites as quickly as possible, having both Bladestorm and Overdrive is going to be a potent combo for this match point here. And we hear that right off the bat, but it's shut down immediately by Prestige. Hunter's Fury going out, able to get a pick off onto Tristan. Tristan is out, and now that's always a satisfying thing to see when you're using Hunter's Fury. Nebraska not able to move up as fast as they want. They are onto the site, but their spike carrier's down, and although they have site control, there's nothing they can do if they don't have that. And down to their last player, Boise State, once again, in this scenario where all they have to do is really hold that spot. Kurai taking out Ray Rihanna, and
again, it's Kurai. He's a player that on paper, his stats doesn't suggest he's the most explosive of the team, but it all depends on how Boise State plays in these scenarios. Do they play to their 3-on-1 advantage?
Boise State holding down that sight line. They know that Kurai's there, but fortunately for Kurai, he's kind of stuck in the middle between a rock and a hard place here. Now that Masters is there, and with the Odin, able to take him out.
That was good. That was a coordinated peek by the Broncos there, looking in, and they knew they had Master as kind of the bailout opportunity. They were able to divert Kurai's attention, then get him from behind. Boise State now just 1 round away from barely hanging on and taking us into overtime.
Yeah, both teams really wanting to think about how they handle this. After all, for Nebraska, a round win could mean going on to the next map and forcing the Broncos into their 3rd round. But for Boise State, this could be a way to close it out completely if they're able to get it.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, their season can end right here, but they could end it with an absolutely perfect record in Valorant. But it's just, there were too many rounds there that I would say probably are just kind of flukes to this particular game, because it's not mistakes the Broncos normally make here, but sometimes when you get too ahead of yourself and are just too sure of a win, you know, of course we're going to win this game. You know, the other team, they've had a struggle all year. Their players have negative KD ratio. I mean, we got this. That's where
the mistakes happen. Well, not necessarily the mistakes, but that's where just you can get caught off guard. Yep. Complacency, not checking the angle, and just not expecting, you know, sometimes the more unorthodox plays that we have been seeing.
Never take anything for granted in Valorant. Every angle is one someone could be hiding behind. And I mean, it's the one that you decide not to check because you're just 100%
is exactly
sure
where someone is.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. Moving into this match, Nebraska with both ultimates already out. Kowalski taking out Skies, and they have control of the A site, forcing Skelis back with a blind here. They do not have the spike on A. Kind of going for a ploy here. Masters taking out Hide on Smoke. Taking out Kowalski as well. Kurai, however, getting the Bladestorm off onto Prestige, and Kurai getting shut down by Skelis. Nebraska down to 2 players, Boise State down to 3, but Nebraska is able to get off the plant that they were setting up. So now the Broncos will have to see if this retake is possible or if Nebraska's ploy here.
It's really lucky for the Huskers that the Sage is one of the few agents still alive, because if there's anyone that can have something good for her post plant, she can put up her wall. make it a lot harder for Boise State, whereas this Reyna, it's going to be really difficult for her, especially if she's used her last clear right there. Nice
that
pick
Bonsai
against
out.
Bonsai. It's just this Sage, but this is what a Sentinel's built to do. It's to hold down defensively areas like this, in a scenario like this. So
We see that already.
Okay, they know they're going to try. Nice! Boise State lands it. Nice spray transfer. They're going into overtime.
Fitting that we would be going into overtime in the final rounds of the PEC conference between both of these teams here. Getting, you know, like you were talking about with the Sentinels, that is really their job, is to hang on, kind of dig into the trenches and deny for as long as possible. And we saw Sage trying to pull that off, though with that wall placement being very consistent. Boise State's gotten pretty comfortable with what to expect around it. We saw that here, though. I do really like that Nebraska tried to do this kind of ploy on the A site here. They were able to take out a decent amount of Boise State's players and get the plant off on the other side. But with that, though, we are going to be going into overtime, both at 12 points.
Speaking of Sentinels, just a very quick trivia question for you. Which Valorant agent hails from Turkey and was part of a counterterrorism unit before joining Valorant?
Oh, that's good old Cypher, if I remember correctly.
Boise State's using him right now, and that's a great start for Skelis, is landing the headshot onto Tristan.
Prestige moving up onto B-side here.
Nice.
Oh, Bonsai out. Hide on Smoke taking out Skelesis, and Prestige taking out Kowalski. Neck and neck here. 4 takeouts, though. Nebraska having to hold on. Prestige beginning the plant. As a great just peek from Ray Rihanna is able to take out Hide on Smoke, and Kurai being the last player taken out by Prestige. Boise State able to take the first round in this overtime.
You know, I like being honest. You know, this Boise State broadcast, you know, I obviously want the Broncos to win, but I'm not going to sugarcoat things if I see something that bothers me. And truthfully, with the way that first half played out, I thought we would have no business winning this round. And there have just been so many incredible plays in the second half. I mean, I'm still thinking about Master. He's still holding that one Odin that he handed on by just one person to get a 4K in that one. If he had not done that, the Broncos would not be on the cusp of winning right now.
Yeah. Rethinking the Odin opinion then a little bit there?
No.
Jumping into the next match here, Boise State having the advantage. Nebraska back on the attack. Checking both through middle. Prestige is able to take Hide on Smoke out, and Kurai. The Prestige is now down. Boise State gaining some valuable information from that interaction. Knows exactly where Nebraska wants to go, so the question will be if they can get there and plant.
They've got their one agent, though, that can provide that post-plant utility, the Sage moving in, and that wall can be very powerful in blocking this off. They'll move to break it down at least once, but it does create a pretty hefty choke. And yeah, that ice will not make things any easier to push through Market, so things have to go up toward Boba. Okay, they called out that one angle, and they were correct. Kowalski was hiding behind their gamer. The top fragger is good, but Bonsai is
out. Empress is down.
Oh no, with the Empress as well, but they managed to take him out. Now it's just the Sage. Same situation as the last round. Sage takes the one behind, and it's the one person on point. Oh, the clutch from Nebraska. Oh, okay.
Tristan with no fear jumping into that smoke, taking out the last player. We are still locked in overtime at 13-13. Oh, when I heard the Empress voice line, I got so scared there for a moment. I mean, it really did. It put in some good work there, but Boise State was able to keep the cool and take it out. Just didn't go as far as they wanted it to there.
Well, I'm reliably informed that Reyna was part of Reyna was had a very deep connection to the underworld of Mexico too. So I mean, it's a fear that's well placed.
Running into the next round, putting out some Cypher cages just to deny information here. As Boise State on the attack, going to move up here.
Kind of thinking of how rounds have turned out in the first half and the second half. Remember, Boise State started out defending, so that's kind of been the one that they've been disadvantaged on. So they need to win this attack round and then find a way to win.
Oh, the operator!
Almost! Oh!
Tristan Thompson taking out Skies, Masters, and now Bonsai taking Prestige out with Skelesis going down afterwards. Nebraska able to get the flawless and gain the advantage in this overtime.
Switching sides.
I didn't even see the operator until we swapped, and then I was like, oh, that's down a sight line.
Now the Broncos are really on thin ice now. They need to get a win here in defense, and wins on defense have been very elusive for them.
13-14, Nebraska wanting to close this out if possible. No one really having any ultimate advantage in this round, though. It's going to be down to gunplay and abilities here. Skelis is getting a couple shots off in the middle, and Kowalski taken down by Prestige. Not wanting to play around with that Neon at all.
Prestige now getting a bit of high ground on Boba, trying to just take an angle that Nebraska might not expect. It really has been Nebraska just coming down to B because they know that Sage Wall is so effective here. Rai picks up a double and they run a hole. I thought that Hyde would manage to punish Skelesis, but he manages to walk on out of there relatively unscathed. Still has 72 health.
Skelis is moving in from one side, the rest of Boise State moving from up top. Masters taken out right there by Kurai, and Sky's able to avenge him, but now 2-2 here. The bomb is down. Boise State has limited time as they begin to move in. Trying to check all the angles. Bonsai takes out Skelesis as soon as they pop around the wall. Skies moves in.